And I love that thing. Welcome, everybody, to another Nothing Like a Good Book. That's where we discover books written by authors, maybe their first book, maybe your first book, maybe you've done 50, but you've got a new release. You want to promote the book, right? And more importantly, you want to sell the book. Okay, that's what we're all about. NothingLikeAGoodBook.com. It's on its way. All books are on that, and book covers and so on, lots of interesting information. Now, my guest for today, interesting. He was born in Columbus, Ohio, raised in Tallahassee, in Florida, of course. He received his engineering degree from General Motors Institute, Kettering University, it is Kettering University now, in Flint, Michigan. That's a famous place for many different reasons. He received a law degree from Georgetown University Law School in Washington, D.C., and he's been a lifelong entrepreneur, which is fabulous, really, because he's grown several businesses with breakthrough technology since the 90s with the advent of the internet, right? Well, this particular gentleman, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Donald Owens.
Hello, Mark. Hello, Mark. Hello. Good to see you.
Hello, Don. Thank you. I know you're a very busy man, and thank you for coming on the show. You started, I'm really wrapped in this, you started this company way back in, 2002?
Yeah.
Like a lot of other famous people, if you like, in the garage, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Wow. And you continue to lead the business today and the product development. This is to see the potential of hydrogen energy realized, right? And you're residing in Temecula, California. So hi to all the people out there. Your book is called Burn Fuel Better, and it was written by you to discover, after you discovered rather, that by adding hydrogen to the combustion of fossil fuels, the number of harmful particulate matter, is reduced by over 50%. And that was discovered in the lab while you were testing engines. Is that so?
That is correct.
So tell us about that.
Yes, in fact, it's interesting because I didn't start off trying to be environmentally conscious. I was really just starting off to try to save some fuel on my car, because I picked up this book and it talked about adding hydrogen. This little device you can make hydrogen to mix it in with your gasoline, right, and it would improve your gas mileage. So I bought the book. I built the little device. The device that they had in the book was not quite accurate, but by the time I started building it, I got hooked on it. And so I figured something else out to make it work. And next thing I knew, I built one of these little devices. They call them an electrolyzer.
An electrolyzer.
Electrolyzer. And when you put electricity across it, it made hydrogen gas from water. And I would use that hydrogen gas and mix it with my in the air tank of my engine. And I saw a fuel improvement, and it was almost a 10-15%. And then when I took it to the lab, found out it was almost 25% on different types of vehicles. But hydrogen and fossil fuel does work. It wasn't until years later, though, that I found out about particulate matter, because my whole objective initially was just about saving me some gas.
You're right. Now this is where the crux of the matter comes in.
Yeah.
Right? We've had the good news. Now let's get the bad.
But it turned out that when I tried various gasoline engines of various sizes, it was always miscellaneous random results. The bigger the engines, the better the fuel economy. The smaller the engines, it didn't work as well. And so I really didn't know what I was going to do. And it just so happened that while I was there, the technician suggested that I try diesel engines. And so I decided to try it on a diesel. And the fuel economy still wasn't that fabulous. Mm-hmm. But right before I was about ready to fold up my tent and leave, he said, "Hey, listen, by the way, this thing reduced your particulate matter by almost 50%.
And you said, what? What?
yeah, yeah, and that was my reaction exactly, because I said, what's particulate matter? And he said, oh, he was a technician. He worked at that shop, but he didn't really know what particulate matter was. He just said, it's something we measure here. It's something we always measure. And it wasn't until I went home that night and looked it up on the internet that particulate matter was a very harmful substance that all combustion engines create, and it causes all kinds of respiratory problems, cancer. It is the reason for pollution, for air pollution.
As if we haven't got enough for bad air and pollution and causes bad breathing and so on. This black carbon is the major component of particulate matter. And you're saying the black carbon is the result of burning fossil fuels, and it coats the glaciers, causing the white snow that we see to become the black snow that we see. And this causes the glaciers to melt.
Exactly.
I always thought the glaciers melted because of warm water.
Yeah, well, now they do melt generally on their own because of sun.
Right.
But what happens is when you have sunlight and you have a white reflecting glacier, it reflects most of that heat and light. Whereas when you have particulate matter, that particulate matter coats these glaciers, and all of a sudden these white glaciers become black glaciers.
Right. And, so it's like a black car and a white car. Right here in Arizona, it's 110 today.
Yeah. And
I get it.
So that accelerates the melting. It always going to melt, but it just makes it melt faster.
Right.
And that's what really climate change is all about. It's our glaciers that are melting so fast that it's changing the weather patterns.
There we go.
And it's very obvious. Most people can tell that the weather patterns are changing. All you gotta do is open their eyes and look at the news, because we see it. We see it all over.
My word. And of course, we've got the scary fact of maybe the seas rising and water coming in more on land and so on. The addition of the melting ice doesn't help. I mean, I think I heard the other day, one was as big as Manhattan or some blessed thing. It's a whole lot. So look, you make it quite clear, Don, black carbon is the enemy of the planet.
Yes, it is.
No doubt about it.
It is no doubt. And that's what we as human beings need to understand, because what happens is most of the time, until we actually can identify an enemy, we don't know who to fight. We don't know who to, but when people understand what black carbon is, black carbon really is the cause of our climate change, cause of our climate problems. Wow. But until we know that, we have nothing we can do to even think about. But this book is all about identifying the fact that black carbon truly is the enemy of the planet. And, most of us have seen movies that have aliens in it. And when the aliens come and attack the earth, all humanity gathers together and cooperate to fight the aliens, because at that point, the aliens are the enemy. But when we recognize that, if we recognize that the black carbon is our enemy, if we collectively decide that we need to fight it, we will, and we can defeat black carbon. But again, we have to first identify the fact that it exists, and it is indeed the enemy of the planet. And most people have never heard of it. And I'm gonna be the first to admit, until I actually stumbled across it and read it in an article that I was looking about particulate matter, I wouldn't have known about black carbon either. So it's not unusual for 99.9% of humanity to never have heard of black carbon. But black carbon is indeed the enemy of the planet. It is the reason why we have our significant climate change issues that we're having now. Now, we're not going to ever stop climate change, but once we know that black carbon is a component, we can start doing things to reduce black carbon. And that's what hydrogen does.
So you're crying out to the world, really. You need to be on soapboxes in every square and every God knows where to be able to get this message out. So you're trying to do it through the book, Burn, Fuel, Better.
Yes.
From helplessness to hopeful in the race against climate change. That's on the white on the cover. I love the cover. It's a fabulous cover.
Yeah, it
And
is.
yeah, you're a patent owning engineer, a lawyer, and a climate change crusader, all wrapped into one.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
You mentioned soapbox. It's interesting you said that because that is the reason why I wrote this book. It turns out that I was telling a friend of mine about the fact that black carbon causes all these problems, and the first thing that came out of her mouth was, "Hey, you need to write a book." I said, "I don't know how to write a book." She said, "No, if this message, you need to tell people about this," and that's indeed how the book got started.
okay. Well, I mean, in talking about your book now, there's always been a misconception, I think, by people, particularly, that somehow, and maybe even including me, I'll own it, but big oil is
Yep.
the reason for climate change. And because big oil is responsible for extracting fossil fuel, for our consumption, admittedly, that somehow, um, they are the reason for climate change
Yeah.
existing, and it's worsening. So your main focus on the book is to take the heat off big oil and tell the truth.
Yeah, well, see, and the truth is, big oil is big oil because we need big oil. You
Stocks
know,
just went up, by the way. Boom, hear them?
I mean, in general, people take for granted a lot of the things that happen and a lot of the ways that we live because of fossil fuel. We live in a fossil fuel infrastructure,
We
and it's
do.
important. It's vital. I mean, we wouldn't be sitting in an air-conditioned house right now. It's 102 degrees outside. I'm sitting inside right now, and I'm glad that somebody is running some electricity, burning something so that I can have electricity and can cool my house.
Yeah.
But we take all these things for granted. We take all the things, the clothes that we wear. I mean, everything that we do is all based on the fact that we live in a fossil fuel energy infrastructure. And it's not because of big oil. Big oil is big oil because we want the results of what fossil fuel gives us. So we really are the blame. Big oil is not the blame for our issues with climate. It's
Right.
us. It's us,
Yeah. Okay.
and because we need what we need. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't try to do things better, and that's what Burn Fuel Better is all about.
Right. Right. Um, I don't know, my man. As a crusader, I feel like I'd be knocking on every door of big oils looking for sponsorships, to be honest, and helping you get this word out to what it could be, because it's certainly supporting them. That's the reason you wrote the book, admittedly. But you know what frustrates me? We know things are hidden from us. And it's probably all going to come out later, but we have to have electricity, as you say. We have to have air conditioning, and we have to have heat to survive as humans.
We have to.
Right? And we need this power given to us to do things. And yet there's alternative ways and alternative power that has put us 100 years behind, that perhaps those who maybe have come across it first did not want us to know about it. And maybe all that stuff will come out later, who knows? But for right now, and maybe it won't. So for the rest of our lives and our children's lives and their grandchildren, our grandchildren, so to speak, this is critical for what's left of the planet in reference to breathing and everything else. But it's melting. That black snow, now that I think about it, what I should have done, I'm sorry, what I should have done was try to get hold of a few pictures showing the ice where it's white and then black and through this carbon. But I'm sure people can find that.
Yeah.
You've only got to go on the internet today and have a look and see what you're talking about.
Yeah, if they just go Google black carbon and snow, then they'll see it.
Oh, that's it. That's it. Google black carbon snow. All right.
Yeah.
So you're hoping the book will do, in a nutshell, in one sentence, what's it got to do?
Well, awareness. The biggest thing is us becoming aware. Like I said, if you was in a fight with an invisible enemy and you don't know who it is, you don't even really know how you can even fight it. It's invisible. You don't even know that it exists. But
True.
Awareness is number one. So one of the things that we want people to understand, because most people do understand that the fossil fuel causes problems, but they're not really aware of the fact that they're the cause, as opposed to big oil, for example, but they also aren't aware of black carbon. because if you are aware of black carbon, then you will start mentally doing the things to reduce it in your own life. Like, for example, now again, just leaving lights on,
Oh,
it's something that everybody generally doesn't think about, but they tend to think about it because their light bills go up. But also that can also reduce the amount of power that's required.
right.
But it's little things, little things that we can do to be aware of the fact that we're causing these problems outside.
Well, there's a bit of a fallacy, I think, Don, about that. I'm not sure because I was definitely brought up. Turn the lights off when you leave a room, turn the television off when you leave the house, all sorts of things like that, right?
Yep.
And then you read as you get older, and then everybody says to you, no, you're nuts, because every time you turn them back on, it's costing more power. Every time you switch it on, switch it off, you're drawing more energy.
Yeah, but the bottom line is you're not drawing any when they're off.
That's true. You're not drawing carbon either.
Yeah, you're not doing anything when they're off. And
so, okay, helpless to hopeful. I guess that statement or your subtitle really says it all, doesn't it? We're in a hopeless position right now.
Yeah. Well, see, the thing about climate change is such a big, huge, monstrous problem that we all feel helpless with it, because
some people think it doesn't even exist. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
what's it take? Another brick across the head or a two before? What?
Well, no.
Wake them up. You know what I mean?
It's one of those problems that is so large and so massive that you feel insignificant and you don't really know if or whether you can do anything about it. And that's when you are helpless. But hopeful means maybe we can do something.
All right, I get you. Okay.
Maybe
so if our governments let us down anywhere, right, or whatever the deal may be, you as an individual person, don't beat yourself around the head over it. You can contribute towards it.
You can, once you know about it, you can contribute toward it. Yeah. And so it's not quite as helpless as you think, but collectively, I mean, because there's still nothing that we all individually can't solve, but collectively we can do a lot if we know. And that's why the key is to know.
Awareness. Yeah, it's awareness. You've got to get yourself on some of these, big TV shows or something to make them support you on it. It's very important you get this word out.
Yeah.
Very important indeed.
Yeah.
Hydrogen itself, what do you mean, its glorious future and its inconsequential present?
Okay. Good question. Because when, if you ever look at any thing about hydrogen, they talk about hydrogen for fuel cells, hydrogen being the type of fuel that has no emissions, no problems. I mean, it just doesn't create any, but it's the future. It's the future. Hydrogen is the future fuel, but hydrogen is also a present that you can use. I mean, it's in today we can use hydrogen to reduce black carbon. So, but most people think of hydrogen only as a future solution. So hydrogen has a glorious future, but an inconsequential presence because nobody knows we can use it right now to do something.
Right.
So we need to change that fact that it's not inconsequential. It doesn't have to have an inconsequential present. But that's what I mean when I say inconsequential presence.
Okay, the book is out, Burn Fuel Better. And before I forget, I want to make sure exactly, where one can buy this thing. So we're obviously Amazon, yes?
Yep, Amazon, absolutely.
And if people went to this site, what are they going to see? What I've got on the screen now?
The site or the book?
The blackcarboncoalition.org.
Okay, Black Carbon.
What's that all about? Yeah.
Okay, if they went to that, they will see they will learn about black carbon. They will see some of these instances where the black carbon is coating the glaciers. They will see pictures of what they have never seen in terms of glaciers, and what they have never thought about.
Right.
Sometimes people have seen these glaciers, but they may have been thinking that all this black stuff was just dirt.
Or penguin doo-doo.
Or penguin.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Or does a bear on the ice pack, you know what I mean? On the ice block, not just in the woods. Data. Hey, you have a chapter called "Pissing in the Wind."
Ah,
Besides
in the
the
wind.
obvious,
All right.
what does that mean?
Yeah, what does that mean? Yeah, well, in fact, we society, or at least governments, have a lot of solutions that they have for climate change, and they say, "Oh, we can go electric, we can go this, we can do that." Well, my thought and my opinion is that if you don't consider black carbon and consider that as a part of what you need to mitigate, part of the problem, you are pissing in the wind. It will never resolve itself unless you consider black carbon as a problem. And most people aren't, not that they don't want to, but they just don't know to include that, because
Right.
any solution that does not include the mitigation of black carbon and the mitigation of our ice, of our glaciers being covered with this material, is pissing in the wind. It's not going to work. And so, and that's what pissing in the wind means.
How long do you think we've got? How long do you think we've got left?
Well, you know, the
If
thing
something's
about
not
it,
done, if something's not done,
even with even by implementing hydrogen, we're not stopping black carbon, because we'll never stop burning fossil fuel, but we can burn the fuel better. So it can give us a little bit more time. You know,
Right.
in essence, if we can reduce our emissions by black carbon emissions by 50%, then 50% isn't 100%, but
No,
50% is better than
my
nothing.
word, it's better than nothing, better than a
Yeah,
kick in the teeth, as they say.
yeah,
50%. Wow.
yeah. And as we move forward, we're still going to be going toward hydrogen, that glorious future, because
Right.
hydrogen really is the future. We're developing hydrogen refueling stations. We're trying to put them all over the country, all over the world, so that people can access hydrogen fuel. But until that happens, we have to do what we can do, which is, in my case, burn fuel better.
Right. I'm going to keep this up. I would love, if you're watching this now, I'd love you to go to his site, blackcarboncoalition.org. You'll see a lot of pics, and you'll get a lot of a much better understanding of also what his fight is for. Mm-hmm. And to contact him in many different ways. Of course, this is being seen on YouTube, but also on other links as well, LinkedIn and so on. But it's on the current site of markbishopmedia.com. The third tab shows, and scroll down to Nothing Like a Good Book. And this is where you can have a good look at Donald's page there. You can hear it audio-wise if you just want to hear audio. You can watch the vision again, the interview again. It's also on his bio page and also on his photographs, and all that stuff will be on the new site as well. In Nothing Like a Good Book, that'll launch soon. And there's all sorts of the usual connections, Amazon and so on. But okay, we're coming to the close, and I'm starting to feel the urgency of this. To be honest with you, mm-hmm. It's like a real good cause to get involved with.
Yeah.
So how can people, is this a joining thing? How can people support you then?
Well, in fact, they could. If you go to Black Carbon Coalition, I think there is a link on there, something about supporting the whole idea. Like I said, but my main thing, and probably the most important thing, is just for people to be aware, just for people to know mm-hmm. what black carbon is and how it affects our lives, all of our lives, our children's lives. Oh, and so to that extent, that awareness is probably the most important thing right now. But again, if you do go to blackcarboncoalition.org, there is a place where you can join and receive newsletters and stuff like that.
And that's fantastic. You talk about it. I mean, I've had a struggle most of my life with bronchial issues and bronchitis. The last 18 months, a couple of severe times with pneumonia in hospital. Mm-hmm. And there's a local thing, called that you get in Arizona. Everybody gets it in Arizona, apparently, but it lives within you. It's like shingles. It doesn't come out till your immune system is extremely low. Yeah. And mine was in hospital, and I caught this valley fever thing. It takes doggies get it too. It's a spore in the soil. Yeah. And not trying to prevent anybody coming to Arizona, because they're coming in droves from California and God knows where else. But the reality is, It takes a while to get rid of. It's about a year, and I've done about 7 months.
Yeah.
So, but it just, it just takes your lungs again and all the rest of it. So I don't want another one, man, with all this invisible carbon out there. You know what I mean? It's just another one. But, fabulous, mate. Burn Fuel Better is the name of the book. And it's written by, well, Don Owens. He's, of course, it's Donald Owens, but he likes Don.
Yep.
And is there anything in closing, Don, that you would like to share that maybe, can help get the message across more? Sometimes it takes 12 times for an ad to be seen on television, even to register. You understand, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So anything at all, by all means, share.
Yep. Well, I do have a chapter in my book, even though I don't know if this is going to help people, but it's a chapter called the Somebody Else Principle. And the Somebody Else Principle states that everybody is somebody else to somebody else. Most people look at other people as being special, different, famous. All famous people are somebody else to somebody else. But everybody's a somebody else to somebody else. All right. And so it means, though, that every single solitary human being has within them the ability to be whatever they dreamed they could be. Because everybody is somebody else to somebody else. Just like Mark, I will promise you're somebody else to a whole bunch of people. I'm somebody else, obviously, to all your listeners. But let me tell you who I'm not somebody else to. My daughter. I'm just Don to my daughter. Right. I'm just Don to it's just like everybody. Barack Obama is just Barack to Michelle Obama. So but they're all somebody else's. But everybody is. And that means that everybody can have an impact on life in general.
Right. Pay it forward. Move it on.
Yep.
Yeah, we're all connected anyway, regardless, Yeah. So it's fabulous. I wish you all luck's one thing, but luck, a little bit of support, luck of the Irish, as they say. And maybe the book is, and it's, you have not written this book to make a lot of money. You haven't written it to be a superstar. You've written it from the heart because you're extremely concerned.
Yeah.
And you can help change the planet.
Yep.
I mean, that's not stupid.
Yeah.
Huh? That's a big thing, my friend.
It's a big deal. Yeah.
I hope you get approached by the right people and something can happen here. Burn Fuel Better, from helpless to hopeful in the race against climate change. And it's written by Don Owens. You can get it on Amazon. Do you have a direct thing? A lot of authors these days are having a site where they, listeners or viewers can buy the book directly.
Yeah. In fact, I think when you log on to burnfuelbetter.com, log on to Black Carbon Coalition, there's also a link on there to purchase the book.
Fabulous. All right. And are you doing any autographs on those? Or you you are? That's a nice thing. Mention you saw it on this show, please. And hit what's it called? Subscribe and follow and ding dong with the bell, whatever you got to do. It helps the channel. It'll help this show grow. I really appreciate the followers I do have at the moment. We've got a long way to go. I'm no Sterling, I know that. But the reality is I appreciate every one of you. And it helps authors like this to be able to do things and get messages out like this, because that's what is important. So go to this site, okay, write it down, quickly get the pen. All right. But you can play this anytime. That's what I love about, blackcarboncoalition.org, right? www, or these days, HTTPS. There'll come a time pretty soon, unless you've got an HTTPS, you won't be able to have a site technically. You won't be found, Right. So that's the way to go. All righty, Don, it's been an absolute pleasure, my friend. And I've enjoyed interviewing you. You're wonderful to interview. And I wish you all the luck in the world with this book, okay?
Thank you very much, Mark. I appreciate it.
Well, there you go. What a fabulous book. Burn Fuel Better. This site or this interview is nothing like a good book. It's dedicated to authors. So if you know anybody and you want to help somebody, they can contact me. Small fees. It's to market it properly, it costs money. So that's where most of it goes. I charge minimal. discovering your book, promoting your book, and selling your book is what it's all about. And the site's nearly finished, Nothing Like a Good Book. It's under construction, and you'll be able to go to that. But I really do appreciate you following. Just hit subscribe, follow along, and I'll really look forward to seeing you next time, because you never know who we're going to have